Hi guys, Sugo here with a new video, and this video will be a Keybinds PvP guide video for Dragonflight or PvP just in general. A lot of people asked me like, what are your Keybinds, what are your action bars, like how do you set it up? I will of course discuss about this in this video. I've made a video about settings, add-ons, and everything in between. You can check that out. It will be in the description, so you can check my add-ons and how I did set up my health bars, my damage numbers, my frames, arena frames, and how I set up my action bars. But this video will be about keybinds, so if you want to check that out, please do continue watching. We're going to talk about how I put certain keybinds for certain actions across all my characters. I will give you some examples by hopping on different characters, so you can actually see where I'm actually going through whenever I'm like trying to set up action bars for my characters. So let's start right away. I'll try to not make a super big video out of it because again, it's keybinds, right? So again, in the description, I show you guys how I do set up everything, and you can even just copy the UI. But what I do is I try to put the action bars like old school. I know now you have like 3 action bars whenever you're doing the classic like Dragonflight UI. I do not like it. I like to have my action bars like this and my action bar 3 to be on the side. Again, like in Shadowlands, or a bit like Classic too, but in Classic you have like everything a bit intertwined. Right now with Dragonflight I play like this and I do like it. The party frame and the target frame, or the player frame and the target frame, like very close to each other, so I can see the health bars more correctly, or the debuffs or the buffs. But of course you have nameplates, floating nameplates. You have also a lot of add-ons that can help you with the visibility of health bars, but also on debuffs and buffs and things that you have to dispel and such. But anyways, so that is pretty much the settings. I have made a video about it, discussing about it in a more lengthier video, where you could also just copy it with a code. There is also in the description, in the comments on that video, so you can also check that out. All right, so keybinds wise, now I'm on my Destruction Warlock, and it is the one exception like on how I do set up my keybinds. I'm going to show you on my warrior, on my shaman, and on my hunter, like 4 different classes, and how I do it. I'll of course will edit the parts where I'm just loading in. But so if you want to see keybinds, what I go through is I try to have my keybinds as close to my hand as possible, because I do not have an MMO mouse. Not everyone has that, but if you do, it will be a lot easier. You choose like the 4 closest one to your thumb and make it very comfortable, and you can even do a lot of focus macros, or arena 1, 2, 3, or enemy 1, 2, 3, whatever. You can set it up like that. But for now, I'm playing like only with my hands and with my, of course, movement of my hand. I try to not move too much, because again, mobility is king, and you do not want to lift your hands too much, or else you will just do your movement with your mouse. For me, I'm moving with my mouse, so I do it like this, and whenever I'm casting, I just right click and try to turn. So I'm not really keyboard turning, but I'm just like with my mouse. So it's easier to track whenever someone is running around you whenever you're actually casting. But that's for the movement part. I might make a video about it, like how to improve your movement in PvP, and how to track enemies with your while casting and such, because a lot of people are like backpedaling, which is not, it's not a problem, because you should learn to not do that. But it takes time, and not everyone started not backpedaling, right? In Classic, there was only that backpedalers. In TBC2, a lot of clickers as well. And right now, the player base became better, and you know that keybinds will make your life easier in PvP, as well as not backpedal. So we have pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the abilities I'm pressing the most. Those are the abilities I'm pressing for doing damage, like for example Incinerate, Conflag, Chaos Bolt, Immolate, and Dimensional Rift. And still, Dimensional Rift is a CD based ability, but it has 3 charges, and often or not I do cast in succession. So I want it to be comfy. We have Shift 3, which is a special keybind for me that is often used whenever I have, like, let's say a pet action. Like for example, if I'm playing with Fellhound, with the Fell Hunter, I do play with Shift 3 to actually dispel the target, like dispelling the enemy with again the ability, which is Devour Magic. But I do not play with my pet anymore, so I do remove it. But whenever I have a pet action, often or not, I use Shift 3. Like for example, on my Elemental Shaman, Meteor is a ability that you can use with your fire elemental. I put it on Shift 3. It's comfy, but not too comfy because I'm not really spamming it. But it's like a special key I wanted to do instead of just 6, because 6 is a bit further away for my my hand. I wish I had like a camera for my hands, but whatever. Like for example, MMORPG, like League of Legends players or FPS players, but it is what it is. Those are the main keybinds for doing damage. Of course, we have a lot more keybinds that actually does damage as well, but those keybinds are the most reactive ones that I really like to press most of the time. Like for example, incinerate spam, just 1 It is quite easy to do. We have Shift B, which is often a action that I'm going to use to, for example, CC the target or slow the target, or like something I'm going to apply to the enemy, or for example a debuff. Like for example on my warrior it is rend, or on my Shift G it is, for example, disarm. So I have like Shift B and Shift G as debuffs, or something I'm going to do to make my enemy slower or being more annoying. So those are the two keybinds I'm using for that. For example, on my Elemental Shaman, I'm pretty sure I have like Shift G as a Thunderstorm, I think, or it is maybe Shift B, and I have also the Static Totem on Shift B or Shift G. So I think it's intertwined. I don't remember correctly right now, but it is right. Again, a debuff or an annoyance towards the enemy. Then we have CTRL-C, CTRL-V, which are the not really most interesting keybinds to use. But often not, it is a macro keybind. For example, I have Soulburn, Healthstone on CTRL-C, and on CTRL-V we have Banish. So it's not; those are keybinds that I'm not going to spam, but I'm going to use it sparsely for some reason, like for example Banish, or for example I don't know, a Hunter's Mark on my Hunter, or something like that. Right? You're not going to spam it, but you're going to use it once, and that's it. G is often going to be it's a comfy defensive or a comfy offensive keybind. Like on my Destruction Warlock right now, it's Dark Pact. Same for my Affliction Warlock. Same for my Demonology Warlock, really. Dark Pact is like super comfy to press, and I know I can press it without a hassle, so I really like it. We have Shift 1, which is another keybind that I press I made for specific things, like for example Rain of Fire. If I'm playing with it, I want to have a easy keybind to actually do it real quick, and then we can just start doing damage or start farming some stacks for my Kills Bolt. So we have that as keybinds, and then we are going to go further with extra keybinds, which are no, please, we come back. Okay, A, E, C, X, R, V, T, F, and B. Those are again very close to my hand with Z, Q, D, S, or W, Q, S, W, A, S, D, because I have a French keyboard, by the way, so nothing new right there. But anyway, so those are the keybinds I'm using to do damage or to do CC or a silence, and I'm going to explain it right away. So we have on the A, we have Spell Lock. So I do like to have either a charge ability, like for example my warrior A is charge, or if I'm playing a caster, A should always be a lock ability, which is pretty much a silence, an interrupt, or a stun with my Demonology Warlock, which is also an interrupt, by the way, whenever it doesn't stun. So A is really the comfy silence or interrupt ability on the main target. E is, for instance, a ability that I'm going to press very comfortably for CC or doing damage. Like for example, on my warrior, E is a execute is execute basically. So if I'm spamming E, it is basically going to be an execute, which is quite nice to have. C is a CC ability or a slow ability or anything in between. So we have Fear, Polymorph on my mage, for example. We have also some heals. So for example, Healing Surge is on C for my shaman, because we don't have a lot of like CC. Hexes is a CD based ability, so I do like to put it on a more difficult keybind, but C is pretty much like a keybind I'm going to spam more often than not for like again CC purposes, slow purposes, like for example Harmstring is C for me. Everything that is going to be like that. I'm going to show you my characters after that, but I'm going to explain why I put like those keybinds. X is Shadow Fury, so again it's a stun or a pummel. For example, any melee class that has a kick, like for example Rogue, Warrior, a Retribution, Paladin, whatever, X is the kick, melee kick, so it's actually very nice. Or just a CC from a other character that is very comfy to use. Again, X is super easy to maneuver with my thumb, so it's quite nice to have that as well. We have our trinket on R, and that is class-wide with me. R is super easy to use because I did play a lot of League of Legends before. Like since season 3 League of Legends I do play, and R is the ultimate ability, and R for me, the ultimate ability for World of Warcraft, is pretty much trinketing a stun. I have to be fast whenever I have to do it, so R is the best place for that. It's either the medallion or the human trinket. So if I'm not playing with trinket, like for example my warrior, I do play with double power trinkets, basically a passive one and a unused one. R is pretty much the human racial trinket. V is often than not a stun or a comfy ability I'm going to use to do damage or anything in between. So V is really easy to use. I like it for Shadow Burn, for example. So it's 2V, 2V, and then 5 for Dimensional Rift, V again for Shadow Burn, and 2 for Conflict. So we have a lot of instant ability. For example, on my warrior, it is a Stormbolt. So again, an easy ability to press. V, I think it's one of the easiest keybinds to press as well. So I like to have comfy keybinds for spells that I do use often, or I have to be reactive on it. T is Unending Resolve on my Destruction Warlock. Normally T, it has nothing to do with defensives, but Destruction Warlock, like all my Warlock just in general, is an exception. For example, I have T with my Elemental Shaman, which is pretty much Stormkeepers, for example. So T is comfy as well, defensive or offensive, or something you want to press quite often. F is either a CC option, like for example Fear on my warrior, or a focus macro Silence. And often not, I want to be reactive on that. If I see a penance cast or a flash heal, whatever, I have to be fast, because again, those are the spells that you can kick pretty easily and make them probably suffer a lot of CDs to actually recover from that silence. So I do like it. We have B as again a option to slow people or to facilitate you. So again, a comfy keybinds to use. We use it for Curse of Exhaustion, but for example, on my Elemental Shaman, we have Spirit Walkers, for example. So it's an easy keybind to use. We have Demonic Circle that we're going to use for mobility purposes, but a lot of my abilities are actually also tied to damage, like with keybinds. Again, Warlock, it's very, very much a rare class for me keybinds wise, but I wanted to show you guys how easy it is for me. Like CTRL A is basically my Demonic Circle, and it always has been. I don't know if it's a very good efficient keybind to use, because it's, again, you're not going to replace it, the TP, the Demonic Circle every time, but I like to press it and I never forget it. So whenever I'm like starting the game, first and foremost, bam, directly gateway, and then bam, directly a Demonic Circle. We're good to go. CTRL E is Healthstone. It's often a defensive that I'm going to use on any character. Health stones are very, very rare. Again, I'm not playing with warlocks most of the time, but in Solo Shuffle, if you do have a warlock, it's either on shift 3 to replace the pet ability. For example, a warrior has no pet, so shift 3 is a very comfortable keybinds to use for Healthstorm, or I even macro it to my defensives, so I always have Healthstorm use whenever I have to play defensively, for example. CTLR is pet attack on Warlock. Again, it depends on the character on my warrior. It is Bladestorm. Again, a very comfortable keybind to use. If you want to pet attack the healer, you have to do it. I macroed it to a focus macro, so it's very easy to perform. But again, very comfortable to use. We have Shift A, which is often a offensive debuff or offense buff towards us. A very comfy like keybind to use as well. I use it often for offensive purposes, but it sometimes can happen that I'm using for mobility or a debuff. Like for example, Amplify Curse. It amplifies the curse for warlocks, so Curse of Weakness, Curse of Tongues, or Curse of Exhaustion. Shift E, like I said, is a big defensive that I use often, so I really like it, and the reward very good. Shift R is often a very big debuff or offensive, like for example, Spear of Bastion, Thunderous Roar. Here we have Fireblood, because again, we do like to use Fireblood offensively, but also comfortably versus Assassination Rogues. Shift F, again, something you're going to buff yourself with, or something you're going to press very comfortably. Soul Burn is very comfortable, you have to use it often for your amplified abilities, like for example TP, Demonic Gateway, Drain Life, Health Funnel, but also Health Stones. Fell Domination on Shift C, so if I want to double kick, I kick once with my own Grimoire, and then I just summon the Fell Hunter. I have my spell lock again, and then re-kick the same healer, and then they are set back to infinity. I really like that aspect of the warlocks, by the way. Shift V is also a very comfortable keybind, especially Curse of Weakness. You do want to apply it as much as often, so I do like that as well. We have Citadel F, which is a big defensive or a big offensive. So pretty much like, for example, summon Infernals. Often not, it's my summon abilities. So we have my Tyrant on Citadel F, my Glare on Citadel F as well on my Affliction Warlock, and here my Summon Infernal with my Destruction Warlock. We have Die by the Sword on Citadel F, we have Enraged Regeneration on my Fury. So Citadel F is pretty much like a summon ability for Warlock or a big defensive as well, so I really like it. Or a mobility spell, like for example Ghost Wolf. Again, very comfy. I want to be able to use it as often as possible whenever I have to. My mouse click 4 and my mouse click 5 is also tied to mobility or to CC. So we have, for example, Hex sometimes, or a totem that I never really use, because for example Gateway, we're not going to use it all the time, right? So we're putting the Gateway and that's it. We're not going to spam mouse click 5. It's not the easiest click to perform, and I often not use it pretty much for my mount as well, if I use it. Middle click is my mount, so we have my mount on middle click. It's very easy. Again, I want to keybind my mount because I want to be fast whenever I'm like trying to run away behind a pillar and I try to mount. I can mount very quickly. If you want to click and search for your mount, you can do that as well, but to be honest, I don't like to collect my mount anymore, since I didn't do that since I think 5-6 expansions ago. We have Grimoire of Sacrifice on Citadel middle click, which is again not a very comfortable keybind. I generally use it for less comfortable spells or long spells that I have to use, sometimes just for a buff. And that's it. Those are the keybinds I'm using. That's all the keybinds I'm using right now. Again, if you have MMO mouse, you can put more, or if you want to be more creative, you can do that as well. But to be honest, I play it like this because I want to be as more comfortable as possible. Sometimes I like a keybind for a specific thing, so I create one, like for example shift 3 or shift 1 or shift 2 could be good keybinds. I do not like CTRL 1 or 2 or 3 because then you have to move your hands depending on the size of your hand. I like to have shift 1 2 3 and it's very fast to perform. Yeah, again, you can be very creative. You can also just remove your WASD if you're not using it for mobility. To be honest, I like to use my W to be able to move, but yeah, that's more or less my preference. I'm going to show you guys now my other characters, so you can see really quickly how I set it up. I'm going to show you my warrior. So we are on my warrior, and like I said, keybinds are very easy for me. We have like a big heal on shift E. We have intervene on shift A, very easy to do. We have to be very quick. We have shattering throw or wrecking throw on shift F. We have battle stance on shift C. We have sweeping strikes on shift V, so very easy keybinds to use. Spell reflect on shift on mouse click 4, which is something you're not going to use all the time, again, because it depends on whenever you want to use it, so you have to use it wisely. My mouse click 5 is basically my mount, and CTRL middle click is my rallying cry, which is not going to be used that often. It's a 3-minute CD, right? War banner, big defensive, we have it on G, which is pretty nice. And for example, ignore pain, shift 3, it's very easy, very comfy. You're going to spam it every 12 seconds, 11 seconds to actually have it up all the time. And we have big defensives, big offensives. Again, defensives, Berserker Rage, remove sphere, sap, whatever, T, like unending resolve. We have Heroic Leap, which is a mobility spell on B. You want to be very fast. Execute, all the good things are always at the right place. I'm going to show you guys now my keybinds for my other characters. I'm going to show you one with my hunter real quick, and then I'm going to show you with my shaman, and then we are good to go, I think. So on my hunter, my keybinds, again, very similar to melees, because I don't see marksmanship hunters or BM hunters as straight casters, not for me at least. So we have bursting shot, which is a CC possibility on A. We have E as an execute, the same as a warrior. C a slow like a warrior. X like a warrior pummel, it's counter shot. Again, trinket always on R. V, big defensive or big offensive. You need to actually press it very quickly. Aspect of the turtle. You have CC on freezing trap on T. Intimidation. Again, a stun on F. We have Stormbolt. Fear. You have also intimidation. All those kinds of things. We need to have a quick keybind, which is F. We have mobility on B, which is aspect of the cheetah, which is the same as heroic leap. Exhilaration, which is CTRL A. Or defensive. Tranquilizing shot, CTRL E is pretty much removing or dispel. Flare on CTRL R, you want to use it as often as possible to get some rogues out of stealth or to not let them vanish. True shot on shift A, again big offensive. Big defensive, survival of the fittest. On shift E, shift R, mobility again, disengage, and also just a self dispel. Death chakram, shift F, a covenant ability that also used it on shadowlands. Now the same keybinds in Dragonflight. Roar of sacrifice, big defensive, shift C, I need to be quick to whenever I have to use it, and a shift V to be again freedoming myself very easily with just one click, right? And again, damage 1 2 3 4, all damaging abilities, and 5 like a CD one, like for example volley or damage or rift on my destruction warlock. We have traps on shift B and shift G to be able to slow people and to be annoying. CTRL C, not something you're going to use often, but it's salvo, so if you're playing with salvo. CTRL V if you want to play with trinket and you don't want to keybind with something, so you don't have a one-shot macro. Scatter shot, again, very big defensive, but also just a good CC potential with G. And revive pet or mending pet with shift 1, very important. Also, Ring Death, CTRL F, big defensive, and should do that all as well very often. And Camouflage on mouse click 4, and mouse click 5 is our Drake. Pretty much Those are my keybinds. I'm going to show you one last keybind on my shaman, but pretty much this pattern is for every single class, and you can see it as well. Also for enhancement shaman, elemental shaman, all of these are the same, but I don't want to make it like a very long video. It's already a very long video. I'm very sorry, but I hope you learned something on how to actually keybind and how to process multi-classing a lot easier. For example, again, damaging abilities, lightning bolt, lava burst, earth shock, frost shock, which is a slow, which is very nice. We have healing surge on C, like I said, something you're going to press often. If you're an enhancement shaman, elemental shaman, don't press it that often though, but still. X is like a very useful ability to actually slow or be annoying, like for example shadow fury, while here we have earth grab totem. A silence, again you're a caster, so it's easier to do with A. E is my flame shock, something you're going to press all the time, like for example execute on my warrior. Wherever it pops up, I do use flame shock. Earth shield, big defensive on my V, on V. Stormkeepers on T. We have focus kick on F. B, like I said, our spirit walker's grace. We have tremor totem on Citadel A, it's a big defensive. Lightning lasso on Citadel E. Citadel R, a summon, which is fire elemental. We have a primordial wave on shift A, which is a big offensive. Shift E is a hex, again defensive or offensive, something you're going to press often whenever you can. Shift R is a defensive on my shaman. Shift F is a displacement, so we have the push from Unleash Shield, and we have totemic projection with Shift C to move, for example, the totem, static field totem, very important as well. So all those keybinds are very important, and you need to actually notice whenever you can use those keybinds correctly. I think the more you practice, the better. The more keybinds you're using, the better, of course, but you have to memorize it, make it like muscle memory. For me, whenever I'm visualizing, R is always going to be trinket. If it's classic, warthog, or even just dragonflight, R is always going to be my trinket. It doesn't matter if I'm not playing with trinket or if I'm playing with the trinket, I cannot use R for anything else. And I think that's a good thing to be, like, it's a bit autistic though, but I like to have my things at the right place at the right time, so I cannot just mess up with things. So if I'm pressing R, it does like I want, which is a trinket and not like a damaging ability. But anyways, I hope this video helps for the new guys out there, but also for the old guys out there that wants to maybe expand their keybinds or whatever. I hope this video served you well. If you have any more questions, please comment below and I will help you as much as possible. Again, I'm very proud of you guys to reach your goals in Dragonflight, reach your goals like in game, in warthog, in classic, whatever. I really appreciate you as a viewer, as a subscriber, as a supporter of my channel. I really love you guys. Again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Helps me tremendously, but also I like to share my content to more people, which is also a possibility because of you guys. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day and be sure to stay safe. We will catch each other very soon in a next video. Have a great day.